G'day, Rob. It's great to be chatting with you. Welcome to Good Movie Monday.
Thank you for having me.
I
Is it
have
Monday?
when people are listening to this, it will be.
Yes, it's
Okay. Ah,
so,
thank you.
Unless they're listening on a Tuesday.
Fair.
I have no doubt that this movie of yours is gonna lead to a lot of nightmares for people. That's got to be a good feeling.
Well, thank you for the kind words. That would be nice.
What are the origins for Baby Girl and Dolly? Was this where did the idea sprout from, and how long ago was it?
Oh my gosh. So, Dolly once was called Baby Girl. It was because, well, I don't know, it was just the title we started with. This was back in 2021. We changed the title right after we shot the film because A24 made a film with Nicole Kidman called Baby Girl. And we of course we thought, well, we can't compete with those SEO, search results that are gonna like, overwhelm the internet. But I do think ultimately, the name became stronger and created a better identity for the film. We also, I think, realized while we were shooting it that, and this is an interesting like thing. This is not answering your question, but I'm thinking about it right now. That like entitling it Dolly, we we very clearly identified that this is a movie, that this character is important, and that there's a lot of backstory and mythology here. And we're using other characters, including, ostensibly the protagonist of the film, Macy, Fabian Teresa's character, to help start to learn about who Dolly is. I mean, concurrently, we're going to understand who Macy is. And, obviously we have these two characters going forward. But in some ways, it does make it very clear that this is also a story about this character, Dolly, that that now the titular character of the franchise, or of the movie. Sorry, singular movie right now. But I think
You've answered my question.
little
spoilers.
Freudian
Oh
slip
shit,
there.
sorry. Yep, that was. Sorry about that. But the idea in 2021 was just being frustrated with like finding like hitting a ceiling time and time again, trying to get something made and made within the Hollywood ecosystem, and having made a couple of films and a TV series that had done really well, and just going back to the drawing board and going, well, what's something that we can create on our own, that we can create small and manageably, and limited amount of money, because that's when you're making an independent film, that's how you have to think, but with an eye on knowing where we want to take it and how we want to grow it. And so it was like, part, emotional response to some of the crap I was experiencing as a father, as a partner, just a filmmaker trying to make my way in the world. And then going, well, how do I use those guardrails and those frustrations to actually create something that I can own, and a sandbox that we can play in. And so here we are, now 5 years later, and Dolly exists. It's not just an idea that started as a text message that I sent my writing partner, Brandon.
That's
Was
incredible.
it was the text message? How do we kill a bunch of people in the woods?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, like here's the thing. So the start of the text message exchange is on. I put it on my Instagram last fall because I'm a firm believer in the idea that like ideas and creativity can come from anywhere, and especially as an outsider who's largely felt like an outsider his whole life, relative to any room I've walked into. Um, I I truly have this sense that all of my collaborators are operating from that same position. So I took a screenshot of the beginning of the text exchange. I was flying somewhere on a I was sitting on the plane as we were about to take off, and I just texted Brandon being like, "What if we do this?" Right? And it was some of that was like, well, how do we use our constraints? How do we weaponize our constraints? We shoot during the day with a limited number of characters and a limited number of locations, and we tip our hat or pay tribute to the things in the movies that have shaped us and our influences. And that was really it. It was going. I mean, again, it was driven by pragmatism in a lot of ways. But I think sometimes that you know again, having written many ideas that cost 20 to $100 million, when no one's letting me make those movies, I've got those lined up. Like I could sell you like a whole bunch of them right here. Like open up, like, which do you want to buy? But I don't. But those aren't getting made. So again, it was like a recalibration, and that was part of it though. Ben was like, yeah, well, how crazy can we get with inside of our constraints?
It really began as the text message massacre.
I mean, listen, we're like including in the like all the things that we're planning. the Dolly plans, and I know that like we're talking in the Southern Hemisphere right now. But relative to some of the conversations that we're having in North America and in Europe, we're making books and sort of companion pieces and like oral histories and big photo books, and this text message exchange went on and on and on
Yeah.
before we started writing. And I was like, well, this is a very cool thing, again, in the spirit of like you just don't know where an idea is going to come from. And like I'm not like, I don't know much about Rick Rubin, the music producer, but Rick Rubin, the music producer, talks about the creative flow as this thing that like there's creativity always out there, and sometimes you just like it, you tap into it and you can access it,
Yeah.
and then you pull from the stream. And I really think like in a lot of ways Dolly is proof of that, right? It was just like one day there I was sitting going, man, what do we do? And then all of a sudden the ideas started coming, and here we are. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a text massacre that became a movie. I mean, it's all possible. There are no
Yeah.
rules.
So that short film, I think, kind of almost plays like a proof in concept trailer.
That was
Did
it, right?
did you have like the whole much of the story in mind when you made the short, or was it sort of
Yeah, so
hoping
we
to?
had written the movie in 2021, and in December of 2021, oh, sorry, we had tried to find money,
Mm,
and then we had the script and it wasn't happening. So in the past, I've made things to, bring an idea to life so that somebody doesn't have to imagine it, right? If you can illustrate it for them, that you can allow them to take a leap, right? Beyond just something that's on the page or a business plan or whatever. And so we just literally went down to my friend's farm south of town where I live here in Nashville, Tennessee, and we just spent a day in the woods making something, you know, four of us, I think. And, again, driven by limitations, and just go, well, we're going to make something up and we're going to show people, again, what's like pieces of the story. So, like, the proof of concept, Baby Girl, has some of the elements that you see in the larger film, right? The mask and the characters are different, but you have a couple. They encounter something. Somebody tries to persevere and get the and and find his partner. You reveal a house. There's another world out there that a character steps into. So again, it was just trying to take, in the poor man's way, how do we take pieces from the film, from the script that we're trying to bring to life, and pack it into like 3.5 or 5 minutes. I can't remember how long it is, just to give people a taste of what the meal might taste like when we get there. So
yeah, for sure.
that's it.
I was speaking to Ben recently. That
That's a
that
lie. We've never spoken. This is our first time we've met.
so many people have tried to, I guess, recapture the spirit of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but so many have failed. And I think you and maybe Ty West are the only two that have really done it incredibly well. Um,
That's
yeah, like, can you talk about how you did it? I think yours is more authentic too than what his was. How did you capture that from the start, like using 60 millimeter film? Like, what was the key to
I, well, first of all, those are kind words. Like, I don't know. This is going to sound crazy, but like, I don't know how I do know how we've ended up where we are, like in what the film is and the way it exists and the way it presents to people. But the truth is that when you're making something, you you don't know. I have no idea. I had no idea that it was going to end up where it is now. And what I mean by that is, yes, you're making a bunch of deliberate creative choices that, and obviously there are references everywhere inside of this movie to Toby Hooper and the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, but ironically, some of those things come from the fact that like I grew up near a mine, a garnet mine in upstate New York called Hooper Mine,
Mm,
and Hooper like, and so when I was born in 1980, and so when you see Texas Chainsaw Massacre way too young, your little like pea brain goes to like, oh my gosh, is there a chance this is somehow related to that? Even though of course it's not.
hmm.
Um, so there are references, and yes, there are like, but I don't think we set out to tip the hat as much as we did. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
it just it something takes on an identity as the work happens and the collaboration happens. And I can't, even the color palette. Here's a good example. The color palette of Dolly is more. We were trying to actually reference the original Snow White from 1937, and because this movie feels like a fairy tale, right? There's a descent. I mean, it's probably a little more Alice in Wonderland on the nose, a descent into madness, somebody
Hmm.
who ends up untethered from reality, wandering around in like a dream or
Hmm.
a nightmare in this case. And so that was the original color reference. I don't it's but we've now wonderfully kind of become even more Texas Chainsaw Massacre adjacent than we had
Yeah.
originally set out to. Again, we weren't trying to be that. It just we've ended up there. And I love it because of course I love that movie and it left such a major impression. Like all those, I mean, like Halloween, Child's Play, The Shining, like these were seminal films in my, horror movie language development. And so they are a part of me. But it wasn't like, oh, well, we're gonna really make sure we feel Texas
Yeah.
Chainsaw Massacre decent. But I will take it because it's a wonderful film, and it does I think it showed to me that like you could, or the Evil Dead, original Evil Dead, is like you could be so punk rock and subversive and throw up double middle fingers at everybody and do this like Texas Chainsaw Massacre did. And so that was more of the inspiration here at
Yeah.
every turn. It wasn't like, man, can we really feel like we are a companion film? But I love it and I'll take it, of course,
Yeah.
because that film is so important.
It suggests to me if that's happened, maybe you guys were just in the same mindset. Like you and Toby just had the
Dude,
same kind of ethos
this
going into it.
this is crazy. So, like I literally it's again what we are now. I don't know. I think when we started, this is going to sound pejorative, but I'm going to say this, and I haven't said this out loud, but I'm going to say this because it's like the thought keeps coming up, and I haven't said it, and I'm sure it will somehow work its way back to somebody, and they'll be mad about it. But like, I think when we first started out, we thought this would be more of an A24 style film, like bleak and I don't know, like a little more formulaic, right?
Hmm.
Like, uh, and and yeah, I mean, maybe just by the sheer fact alone that we were shooting 16 millimeter, it start again. But the 16 millimeter was a practical consideration. We're outside in the woods during the day. We
Mm.
need something that handles highlights well. And well, film, like we'll shoot film, like that will solve it. We don't need lights. We
Yeah.
can literally shoot film and we can push the grade later. And
Yeah.
so it wasn't like, oh, we'll be like Evil Dead or Texas Chainsaw. It just like this, so it kind of ended up there. Does that make sense? We
Yes.
literally talked about
Yeah.
digital and we were like, well, yeah, digital's come a long way. We can do a lot. However, like, well, we can get away with shitty color in film a lot better than shitty color in digital. Does that make like
Yeah.
so again it wasn't like, well, let's make a something that's more Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and now here we are, right?
Yeah.
So anyway,
Fantastic cast as well. How did you get all of these people?
Craigslist, believe it or not. This is so stupid. This is like a reoccurring joke that you wouldn't know because we've just met. Like, but I always like back in the day in Craigslist. I'm sure here it was like always people were looking to find collaborators. It was and the pitch was meal, copy, and credit. Like no pay, but you get a meal on set, you get a copy of the finished work, and you get the IMDb credit. So this is my bit that I've been using a long time now. No, the cast came from friends, just like all my collaborators are people that I just love and like and want to work with. When you're making a film for no money, you call people that show up for you, right? In the same way you call collaborators that have your back. And because they know that sometimes you're going to have a few more resources and a few more days, but sometimes you're going to do this version of it too. And Ethan Suplee and I had become close friends, and he was in my last movie, Blood for Dust. Sean and I had become friends in 2019, and we'd been trying to find something to do. Fabian Therese was friends with Scoot McNairy, who was the lead in my last film, Blood for Dust. And so I put my own daughter in the movie. She's a little girl in the beginning, or one of our two daughters. Russ Tiller, who plays Billy the Park Ranger, is he's actually in the proof of concept. He's in Blood for Dust as well. He lives in Nashville. He actually lives right down the road from me. But Dolly was the real discovery, played by Max the Impaler. We did not know who was going to be Dolly at first, truly. We knew we needed a physical performer that could bring a character to life without words. And so at first we thought athletes, dancers, something like this, people that like could convey story and emotion without talking. And we happened across Max by chance, truly by dumb luck. We saw a flyer for a wrestling promotion here in Nashville, and Max's character, Max the Impaler, as the wrestler, is so arresting. And I was like, well, I need to look if they're playing this part and they're doing it so well. I need to know more. And that just kind of that just unlocked it immediately. And then once Max revealed to me that their lifelong dream had been to be a monster in a horror movie, and that horror movies had been so important to them in their life, it was just fate, right? Like there was, and then what Dolly is now is even better than what Dolly was on the page. Again, to go back to the way I was talking about it a minute ago, I feel like on the page Dolly wasn't as nuanced. Like, I mean, you care about Dolly. You learn things about Dolly as the movie unfolds that were there. Those
Mhm.
things were there on the page. They were a part of this larger world. But I think what Max did surpasses the expectation that I had, like, when we were writing it. So, but yeah, I don't know. You call your friends. You make
Yeah.
movie.
I
We're just
mean,
trying to. We're literally just trying to get out and make things and create things and I don't know. That's what we all love. So it's just well, we find a way to do it. So hopefully, as you grow, you can call your slightly more well-known friends that help you get the movie made. And I think, after being in the suck of movie making for a long time, I've been lucky to meet some incredible collaborators, Sean and Ethan being those you know, two friends that show up for you. So
I, mean, I thought
long-winded
it was a
answer. I gotta shut up, Glenn and Ben. Sorry,
No,
I
no, no,
talked.
no.
it's
You're
all right.
fine. You're fine.
No,
The
I mean,
less
I thought it
talking, the
was a
less
great.
talking we do, the better.
Yeah, I thought it was a great misdirect because before, when I didn't know anything about the project, and when the screener came across my desk, and I jumped on IMDb and had a look, and I was like, oh, Ethan, obviously Ethan's going to be is the Dolly character, and I was like, that's great casting. Why hasn't this guy been the villain in a slasher movie before? And then when I watch it, then when he turns up, I was like, hang on a second, if he's not, who's? It really actually threw me for a complete loop while I was watching it.
Oh, okay. So no, all right. I'm gonna that I love that. Don't no, maybe he is though.
Yeah,
No
well,
spoilers.
maybe he is. Yeah, yeah.
That's oh my gosh, that's fascinating. Yes, okay. You know what? I'm gonna steal that going forward. I'm gonna talk about it that way.
Was
But
Dolly
so
King.
but Ethan has played like e- the thing this is funny. Ethan has said to me that I'm one of the few. Ethan can be many things to me, right? And I think that he's obviously become an incredible character actor and like I feel like sometimes gets used to say, well, you were many things other than a leading man. And I disagree, but
Mhm.
because I think what Ethan is Ethan is a chameleon, or he's a Rorschach, right? Like he can be anything, and that is what an actor is. Yes, Ethan has been a lot of things, but Ethan, nice guys are easy, right? Like nice guys, sweet guys, affable, heavy set, larger guy. That's easy to do. This is like real character work. And even the character he was in Blood for Dust is like unexpected. And I just so every time I call Ethan a lot with ideas, I'm just like, well, let's find other ways to use you where people don't expect it. And I think any actor wants that too. I mean, I think Sean William Scott, that was like very important to him too here. It was like, well, dude, no one's gonna expect this out of me, like so I
Yeah,
want to do this. I think a lot of creatives want to they don't want to be one thing, and myself included. So I think going forward, like with any actor, any project, I'm going, well, let me find the exact unexpected opposite character for you. People think Kit Harington is Jon Snow. Well, of course he's not Jon Snow. That's just a character he got. He played
yeah,
for a long time, played really well. Let's take him 180 degrees and go the other direction. That's just how I want to make things. That to me is exciting. It's dangerous. I don't know what that version of Kit Harington. I don't know what Kit Harington is like playing that character. I don't know what Ethan Suplee is like playing the bad guy. Well, let's let him play the bad guy, and then I get to see. You
yeah.
know.
Then you get to
So
do it. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, exactly,
the
exactly.
most exciting thing for me was let's not forget that this was a reunion for Evolution because those two guys were in it together, and
This is
that's one of the most underrated comedies of all time, as far as I'm concerned.
I started like it's funny because they weren't on set at the same time, but I did start a group text. I think at one point Ethan or Sean asked me for the other guy's number. Actors work on so many things. Sometimes they lose track of, or
Yeah.
they got someone's contact info and then they forgot to keep in touch. But I did start a group text like 3 weeks ago before the movie came out in the States, and there was like a bit of a love fest on there, and it made me really happy. I felt like a loose like Malcolm Gladwell's like loose tie connector, like just connecting some people up. So it felt good. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're both wonderful, wonderful fathers, wonderful men, wonderful friends, wonderful collaborators. Like I just want to make movies with them, but my want to make movies with my friends writ large.
Yeah. There's so much delicious depravity in this for horror fans.
Thank
But
you.
I'm wondering, how far did your imagination go? Was there a lot of stuff that you had down that was just probably too much for the film to handle?
There was more that I will say there was more on the page than we could fit into here.
Hmm.
And that's just a practical, pragmatic thing, right? When you're, when we first wrote it, but there was the brutality of the film or the violence of the film is a narrative response to the things that are happening. And so it's one character doing something to another character and or vice, an antagonist doing something to your protagonist. It's relative to what their goals are as a character. And in the spirit of that, Dolly as a character that has lost their mother. And this is there's no spoilers here, but because this is in the trailer, you can read about this. Dolly is a character that seemingly is going through an emotional response to something and is looking to fill a hole in their heart, but is doing it in a brooded, misguided way
Hmm.
based on their upbringing. Everything that happens to Macy, Fabian Teresi's character, then is like as a result of that. So
Hmm.
there were more things that more special effects and practical things we were trying to do or we wanted to do that were in the script, but we just couldn't do them, no time and money. But I don't think, the big things endured. The big things remain in the film
Yeah.
at this point. Um, yeah, but again, it's like not violence for violence sake, right? It is like we're trying to show people at the brink or at the extremes of their fears, right? Like even what Macy, Fabian Teresa's character, is going through is we're in a heightened like nightmare version of that, right? Somebody who very early on in the film talks about like how they had a mother that was a monster in their life, and they were wondering if the cycle might repeat itself.
Hmm.
And now here they are trapped in a situation where they're having to navigate that as a grown woman. And so, again, everything that's happening that you're in all the twisted ways is are those fears being manifested and coming
Yeah.
true? Well, in the movie, they're coming. Well, they are coming true.
Well,
Well, true. That sounds like a positive thing. They're happening.
yeah. But
No one wants us to come
I
true.
always
Yeah.
wondered, like, does she have the revelation halfway through the film that, hey, maybe my mum wasn't that bad in comparison to to what I'm
Well,
facing
there
now?
is,
Like, what
right.
was
I
it?
mean, there is a shift that happens inside the house relative to what she thinks is happening. Well, I don't know. Again, her position relative to the predicament she's in, and again, I'm talking about this in a coded way,
Mm,
right? People change, right? Her
Yeah.
Macy's response to the opening conundrum that she's facing changes and evolves and ultimately ends up in a very different place than she began. And well, that's just character evolution. Again, the simple version of it that we could do with, the time and money we have. Well, it is there. It is there in the fairy tale structure, right?
yeah.
With the breadcrumbs left behind that the breadcrumbs and the details that are said in dialogue or in questions that have come up. Everyone's asking all the questions. I read all the comments, all the reviews, all the good reviews, all the nasty reviews, and people are astute and they are noticing these things. And I'm just saying, stick with us. We got you. Like, we know what we're doing, but we have to start somewhere. Like, I don't, again, I'm not rich and I got to start where I can.
I don't think it'll take long into the film before the audience knows they can trust you, mate. That's like,
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
yeah,
that's kind.
100%.
Yeah, that's kind.
Before we let you run, a lot of our listeners know that I like to round off these conversations with a bit of a hit of nostalgia. So I was just wondering, do you remember what the first movie was that you saw in cinemas?
Oh my gosh. What if it's the worst answer ever?
Well, I mean, that could be the best answer ever.
That could
Well,
be
I
the
don't
best
know. I
answer. Yeah.
mean, so I've thought about this. Like, I've thought about this a couple times. Because the first three CDs I bought. This is not a real way to answer your question, but I went to but I was thinking about it. I bought tapes, but I think CDs were like I had a couple cassette singles, right? They were not cool, like Hanson and we don't have to worry about that.
I've
But
got
the
a
first
cassette single right here that's Rod Stewart and Tina Turner, so you've got nothing to be embarrassed about.
Okay, so I went to the store. The first three CDs I went on one day. I bought the Last of the Mohican soundtrack. This like I bought 10,000 Maniacs MTV Unplugged, and I brought Cypress Hill Black Sunday, and I was like, it makes no sense. Like there's no Venn diagram where those three things overlap, but but the first movie I did, and I don't know, maybe because I'm getting older and you have kids and your brain starts to eat you up. I feel like one of the first movies I saw in the cinema. I grew up without a TV in the middle of nowhere. My
You are
dad took
Dolly. You are
me.
Dolly.
Yes, this is yes. I mean, this is where Dolly. I mean, again, I grew up near an abandoned garnet mine with all these houses in the woods that I thought I saw people living in, and I saw like the remnants of a world, right? Like a familial domestic life left gone to decay, right? Like that was literally like. But I don't know if this is the first movie I saw because I should check what year it came out because maybe it's not adding up.
Mm,
But my father took me to see Memphis Belle, which was
wow.
like a World War II like
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
bomber
yeah. With
plane. I've seen my
Sean
dad
Astin.
cry twice. I've seen my
Yeah.
dad cry twice. He cried at Memphis. No, he cried three times. So he's cried three times the entire time. I think he cried when my younger sister was born, just for a brief second. He cried at Memphis Belle, and he cried when he took me to the Gettysburg Civil War battlefield on a forced father-son trip when I was like 12 or something. And I've thought about I don't know what year Memphis Belle came out. Maybe it was early 90s, but like maybe it was 90 or 89, 90. But my father's father was a bombardier during World War II, like and flew bombing runs over Germany. So I've thought about it in time. Maybe that was why. But
Yeah.
I kind of think that was the first movie. I can distinctly remember going to the small town cinema. You know, there were one screen, maybe two, like 30 seats. And I was like, why are we going to watch a World War II film? But I will say, one of the first movies I saw at my friend's house was Full Metal Jacket
Yeah.
on VHS, and it really fucked me up because I just didn't know a lot about the world. I was a little sheltered, and I was like, "This is crazy that this this thing
Yeah.
exists." So yeah, I
How is
might
this?
again. My
How is this
dates
for
might be.
fighting and this for fun? As
Yeah.
a- what are
Well,
you
I saw
talking about?
like I mean like so there was a VHS rental store in town. I grew up in a town with no stoplights. Still is no stoplights. Well, it wasn't a VHS rental store. It was a jewelry store that was also the appliance repair shop. And the jewelry store owner was also my school bus driver. His name was Pete Parker. Like it was like out of a movie. But he
Spider-Man
had
was
a
your school bus driver?
I knew you were going to do that.
but he had a hallway of VHS tapes, right? That like and they were in like clear plastic cases. We didn't have a TV, but I had friends with TVs, and you know, this was the late 80s, early 90s. You could get anybody to rent you a movie,
Yeah.
or Pete Parker, who I don't think is around anymore, so I'm not disparaging him. Like, you know, you could rent The Faces of Death. You could rent The Shining, right? You could like and we started Texas. This is where we started watching the movies you were not allowed to watch, and I would tell my parents we were not watching them, of course. But like then I met a family that had a laser disc set up, and you know you watch T2 on Laserdisc, you watch The Abyss, and your mind starts going, "Oh man, there's." And so I slowly started discovering this world of movies through this like strange analog. I mean, you know, this just unique way into it. Like I didn't have access to a TV at home, I didn't have access to a movie theater, but I would just consume everything I could once I realized, oh man, people make weird stuff. I like weird stuff. Oh, okay.
It
Here
it
we go.
confirms
So,
it confirms my theory that there are two kinds of people in this world. The kind of people that hang around liquor shops trying to get people to buy them booze when they're underage, and the kind of people that hang around out the front of video shops trying to get them to borrow R-rated
we,
movies when they're
and I did
underage.
I and again I don't Pete Parker and Pete and Joyce. I think Joyce was a janitor at the school. I haven't seen them in ages, but I'm if like but again everyone in my small town is still there, but I don't think the Parkers are there anymore. But little did they know like how much of an impact they had on like one little, you know, shy goober's life, you know, because here I am
Amazing.
now.
See,
So
told you it'd turn into the best answer. That was awesome. That was a real hit of nostalgia. I love it. Um, we'll let you go. Really,
thank
really
you.
appreciate you making time to chat with us. This is a bonkers horror film that people that love horror are not going to know it hit them when they see it.
That's very kind. I please everyone go see it. Like tell a friend, leave us a review. That stuff helps too. If people like it, um, saying something nice online is meaningful generally, but like leave us a Rotten Tomatoes review, leave us a Letterboxd review, tell a friend. I'd be very grateful.
Wow. So beautiful. Oh no.
Someone's art project, maybe?
All the way out here?
That's weird.
Don't miss the film critics are calling.
Nightmare fuel.
Hello?
A truly terrifying killer.
Hey, are you okay?
A wonderfully violent backwoods slasher. The scariest movie yet in the Great Chainsaw Massacre tradition.
You're a new doll. You're gonna have to play along. Play along. Play along. Play along. Play along.
Mother
What did you do to me?
knows
We gotta go.
best. Dolly. This film is not yet rated.